Hello and welcome. This is Lanita Ellis, Scrappy Grandma, and this is our weekly Bible reading playlist. Um, and I haven't shared this in a while, so if there's anyone new, I follow what's called the Torah portions, which Torah means instructions, and it is the first five books of our Bible. Um, the Christian church is translated as law, but it's actually the instruction manual. The first five books are our instructions. And I'm reading out of our Torah portions, it's probably backwards, our Torah portions um, workbook that we follow. And so basically, this is like the oldest Bible study on the planet because it goes back, I mean, to where even Yeshua, Jesus, and the disciples did a form of this study. They actually read weekly portions, and it took them 3 years, I'm pretty sure, when Jesus was alive. And so, like, when he got up to speak, when he went into the synagogue and he got up to speak, he was actually doing that week's Haftorah, which is a reading from the prophets or the books of wisdom, which go along with the Torah portions. And so Jesus, in this is read each week by people all around the world, all at the same time, and they are all so timely. It's ridiculous. I mean, and the fact that thousands and thousands and thousands of people are reading the same part of the word every week at the same time, learning the same lessons and reiterating it and telling it to our children and practicing and everything. How beautiful is that? That he created something so beautiful that now is, spread all around the world and that we can be in unity because he loves unity. You know, how lovely it is when brothers dwell together in unity. And so this makes us one with him and with the body. And also with the Torah portions is what's called the Haftorah. And so when the Jewish people were in exile, and I'm pretty sure it was Greece. Could have been Babylon, but I'm pretty sure it was Greece. They were not allowed. They lost their Torah. The Torah was taken from them, and they weren't allowed to teach the Torah. And like in their synagogues, they couldn't teach the Torah. And so what they did is they took, which is the first five books of the Bible. So they took stories from the prophets and the books of wisdom, which they were still able to have, and they would come up, make the same story from similar passages from the books of wisdom and the books of the prophets to teach the same story, teach the same lifestyle, teach the same instructions to the children and to their children and so forth. And then I'm not sure, and I'll have to look it up again. I've looked it up before, but it hasn't stuck in the brain. Where the adding of the Brit Hadashah, the Gospels, somewhere the Gospels got added into as well. So, like this week, the Torah portion, part out of the first five books of the Bible, we're in Numbers right now, and this is our 37th week. So there's 54 Torah portions. So we're on this side of halfway. So we've got Numbers 13:1 through 15:41. That's the Torah portion. Then in the prophets, the Haftorah is Joshua 2:1 through 24. And then in the Gospels, it is Matthew 10:1 through 14. So, and I'll be reading those as well. But so basically, this is to teach us, and you figure the Jewish people have lived with this. I mean, they've been taught this since they are born. So it's habit and they understand it. In us who are coming to this at a much later age, like me in my 60s, um, it's a little more difficult to toss out, unlearn what the church has taught me for 40 years and relearn from a whole Bible perspective where I'm taking all the Bible and practicing it. And so we read the weekly portion and we implement it in our lives and we grow and we learn. And a lot of times when someone's going through something really tough, we're going through it at the same time. And so we're able to like, oh, just like in the Torah portion, the. So we'll see as we go through it where things are lining up with our lives. So this portion is called, wait, first, Father Yah. Oh, Most High, you are so very good. And you know the end from the beginning, and you go before us, and you go behind us, and you go alongside of us. And those that us that walk in your way, you make our path straight. You've made promises, and it may be hard and it may be tough, but it's all for your good pleasure and for us to bear good fruit and be that light that you want us to be to grow into who you created each and every one of us to be, where we fit in with the body to serve you by serving the body. So, Father, take this offering that I give to you of reading your word and sharing it with others to be able to encourage a lifestyle and a passion and a desire to read your word every week and learn and grow and become who you created us to be. Father, do not let anything come out of my mouth that is contrary to you and your ways. Bless everyone who's listening and help us to know your character more by what we read here today. In Yeshua's name, amen. Okay, so Shelach is the 37th Torah portion, and it means send. This is a great portion. So much good and so much bad. And so it recounts the story of the 12 spies that completely changed the trajectory of the people of Israel. So the 12 spies sent by Moses to scout the promised land. After 40 days of exploration, the spies returned with a mixed report. While praising the land's bounty, they instill fear in its powerful inhabitants. And only Joshua and Caleb urge trust in God's promises. But the other spies incite panic, causing the Israelites to rebel and reject the land, even wishing to return to Egypt. Oh, tragic. In response, God decrees that this generation, everyone 20 years and older when they left Egypt, they will wander in the wilderness for the next 40 years until they all die off. And they will never enter the promised land because they believed a partial truth and a major lie. And they didn't trust him. He said, I'm giving it to you. That should have settled it, but they didn't. They questioned. So Um, they never entered the promised land except for Joshua and Caleb, the only two that were like, yeah, we can do this. So the portion also outlines laws regarding offerings and consequences of unintentional sin and the punishment for willful disobedience, illustrated by the episode of a man gathering wood on Shabbat. Shelach concludes with the commandment of tzitzit, fringes, as a reminder to obey God's commandments, emphasizing themes of faith, the consequences of fear, and the rebellion, and remembering God's covenant. So let's dive in. Give me a moment to share my screen, and it takes me a couple minutes to do this because I'm old. I'm going to make myself really little and the words really big. And that's what it's going to be. So it should be, let me see, sharing. Come on, there we go. All right, so you should be able to see there. Come on. All right, we start in Numbers 13:1, and the spies are sent into Canaan. So Adonai said to Moshe, send men on your behalf to reconnoiter the land, do a reconnaissance, I guess that's what that means, of Canaan, which I am giving to the people of Israel. I'm giving it to them. From each ancestral tribe, send someone who is a leader in his tribe. Moses dispatched them from the Paran desert as Adonai had ordered. All of them were leading men among the people of Israel. Here are their names from the tribe of Reuben: Shammua, the son of Zakur; from the tribe of Simeon, Shaphat, son of Hori; from the tribe of Yehuda, Caleb, son of Yefunni; from the tribe of Issachar, Yigal, the son of Yosef; from the tribe of Ephraim, Hosea, son of Nun; from the tribe of Benjamin, Palti, son of Raphu; from the tribe of Zebulun, Gedal, son of Sodi; from the tribe of Yosef, that is, the tribe of Manasseh, Gadi, the son of Susi; and from the tribe of Dan, Amiel, the son of Gamali, sorry. From the tribe of Asher, Shtur, son of Michael; from the tribe of Naphtali, Nachbi, son of Hovsi, Vofsi; and from the tribe of Gad, Gilel, son of Maki. These are the names of the men Moshe sent out to reconnoiter the land. Moshe gave to Hosea, the son of Nun, the name Yehoshua, which means he will save. Moshe sent them to reconnoiter the land of Canaan, instructing them, go on up to the Negev and into the hills and see what the land is like. Notice the people living there, whether they are strong or weak, few or many, and what kind of country they live in, whether it is good or bad, and what kind of cities they live in, open or fortified. So I find this really fascinating because the father's already told them, I've given it to you, and it's a good land. So interesting that they're sending someone in there to find out if he's telling the truth or not. I don't know. See whether the land is fertile or unproductive, whether there is wood in it or not. And finally, be bold enough to bring back some of the fruit of the land. When they left, it was the season of the first grapes to ripen. They went up and reconnoitered the land from Zin Desert to Rekhov near the entrance of Hamat. They went up into the Negev and arrived at Hebron. Achaman, Shishai, and Telmai, the Anakim, lived there. Hebron was built 7 years before Zio in Egypt. So Hebron is where Abraham purchased the cave of Machpelah, where everyone's buried, where all the ancestors are buried. And we'll find that Caleb is the one that actually goes up into this land. And interesting, if he's the only one who went into the land, and that's in Hebron is where the Anakim, the ancestors of the Anakim live. But Caleb came back and gave a good report, like, yeah, so what? There's giants there. We can still do this. But the other ones didn't even go up into that area. Did they see him from afar off, or did they see him, just interesting how the one who actually went there came back and said, we can do this. Whereas others who didn't go there, but say they saw them, they're the ones that said, oh, no, we can't do this. So, so they came to the Eshcol Valley, and there they cut off a branch bearing one cluster of grapes, which they carried on a pole between two of them. They also took pomegranates and figs, and this place was called the Valley of Eshcol, meaning cluster, because of the cluster which the people of Israel cut down there. The report of the spies. This is so sad. And it's so true in all of our lives when we're faced with something that looks scary and daunting. How often do we let fear control and manage us, and we end up in the wrong place because of it? So 40 days later, they returned from reconnoitering the land and went to Moshe, Aaron, and the entire community of people of Israel at Kadesh in the Param Desert, where they brought back word to them, to the entire community, and showed them the fruit of the land. So it's interesting. Instead of like going straight to Moshe and like, hey, we need to talk about this, they went straight to them and the people and incited fear, unfortunately. What they told them was this: we entered the land where you sent us, and indeed it does flow with milk and honey. Here is its fruit. However, that one thing, the people in the land are fierce, and the cities are fortified and very large. And moreover, we saw the Anakim there. Well, Caleb was the only one who went there to that section where they're supposed to, or maybe there was Anakim in other places. Amalek lives in the area of the Negev, and the Hittite and Yasuvi and the Emori live in the hills, and the Canaanite live by the sea and along the Jordan. Caleb's silent. Here's Caleb, like, whoa, 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 whoa. Caleb silenced the people around Moshe and said, we ought to go up immediately and take possession of it. There's no question we can conquer it. He completely believes 100%. His faith is believing that the Most High promised it to him and he's more than capable of delivering it. But the men who gone with him said, we can't attack those people because they are stronger than we are. So already, who do they belong to? The God of the universe, the creator of all things, who has shown them time and time and time and time and time again that they can trust him and that he's capable. And if he tells you he's going to give you something, he's going to give it to you. But they don't trust him. So, and they spread a negative report about the land that they had reconnoitered for the people of Israel by saying, the land we passed through in order to spy it out is a land that devours its inhabitants. All the people we saw there were giant. All the people. Now, it's just like has built and grown and grown. We saw the Nephilim, the descendants of Enoch, who was from the Nephilim. To ourselves, we looked like grasshoppers by comparison, and we looked that way to them too. So they already put themselves in, oh, we're incapable, and they projected their beliefs onto the other people. And this costs them a lot. So the people rebel. At this, all the people of Israel cried out in dismay and wept all night long. Okay, so let's back up. You know, last portion, they've been gone just over a year. Remember, they did their first Passover in the land. So they've just been gone a year, a little bit more, and they're finally at the place that he's been promised to them. So 1 year they wandered in the desert, 1 year, and then he could have taken the promised land. But because of this, moreover, all the people of Israel began grumbling. Remember the last portion when Miriam and Aaron were grumbling and Miriam became leprous? The grumblers. And this has really taught us a lot about grumbling and how actually distasteful it is and to him. So, moreover, all the people of Israel began grumbling against Moshe and Aaron, and the whole community told them, we wish we had died in the land of Egypt, or that we had died here in the desert. So, once again, ungrateful for what the Father had done and no faith in what he can do for them. Why is Adonai bringing us? So now they're asking Moshe and Aaron this. Why is Adonai bringing us to this land where we will die by the sword? Our wives and our little ones wouldn't be taken as booty. Wouldn't it be better for us to return to Egypt? Oh, see, This makes me realize how very serious it is for us to watch what comes out of our mouth and watch the beliefs that we allow in our head. Because if it honors and it glorifies Him, then go with that. If it is grumbling or being discontent or, you know, having no faith and actually causing fear, that's not of Him. And it's sets up bad things. You put yourself under the curses instead of under the blessings when you start to grumble and murmur and complain. So now they're complaining about, once again, what the father's doing. And I get it. I mean, how often in my life have I complained against what I thought, he was doing that or allowing to let be done in my life that all turned out to be for my best. So, and they said to each other, let's appoint a leader and return to Egypt. So let's oust Moses and let's return to Egypt. We're out of here. And Moses and Aaron fell on their faces before the entire assembled community of the people of Israel. I, if I were Moses, I'd have probably said, thank you, do it, see ya. But Moses is so humble and so compassionate and has a heart for the Father. Joshua, the son of Nun, and Caleb, the son of Yefunni, from the detachment that had reconnoitered the land, tore their clothes. I mean, this is their, now they're going into grieving and mourning the people and what they're doing because they know what that's doing to the Most High. And said to the whole community of Israel, the land we passed through in order to spy it out is an outlandishly good land. It is a good, good land. If Adonai is pleased with us, then he will bring us into this land and give it to us, a land flowing with milk and honey. Just don't rebel against Adonai and don't be afraid of the people living in the land. We'll eat them up. Their defense has been taken away from them, and Adonai is with us. Don't be afraid of them. But just as the whole community were saying that they should, but just as the whole community were saying they should be stoned to death, the glory of Adonai appeared in the tent of meeting to all the people of Israel. So Israel's like, let's just stone these guys, get new people, peace out, we're gone. But Adonai appears in the tent of meeting. The glory of Adonai, his Shekinah glory, the fire. And Adonai said to Moshe, how much longer is this people going to treat me with contempt? And honestly, that's what they're doing. When we question his ways, we are treating him with contempt. Is my arm too short? Am I not capable? How much longer will they not trust me, especially considering all the signs that I have performed among them? They have food delivered every day, the Red Sea, all the things. I'm going to strike them with sickness and destroy them and make from you a nation greater and stronger than they. Once again, if I were Moses at the time, this lets me know how much work I still have to do to be humble and meek like Moses, because I'd have been cool. I'm sick of them too. Bring on the lightning bolts. I'm ready. But he didn't. He intercedes for the people. So I, in this circumstance, probably would have sided with the adversary, the accuser, and said, yep, get them. They're bad. Moses, he comes into agreement with our intercessor, the Messiah, who's up there at the right hand of the Father, interceding for the people night and day. Moses goes to him. And however, Moses replied to Adonai, when the Egyptians hear about this, and they will, because it was from among them that you, by your strength, brought this people up, they will tell the people living in this land, they have heard of you, Adonai, are with this people, that you, Adonai, are seen face to face, and that your cloud stands over them, that you go ahead of them in a column of cloud by day and a column of fire by night. If you kill off this people at a single stroke, then the nations that have heard of your reputations will say that the reason Adonai slaughtered this people in the desert is that he wasn't able to bring them into the land which he swore to give them. So now, please let Adonai's power be as great as when you said, Adonai is slow to anger, rich in grace, forgiving offenses and crimes, yet not exonerating the guilty, but causing the negative effects of the parents' offenses to be experienced by their children and even to the third and fourth generation. Oof. Please forgive the offense of this people according to the greatness of your grace, so that you have borne with these people from Egypt until now, as you have borne with these people from Egypt until now. God promises judgment. Adonai answered, I have forgiven as you have asked. But as sure as I live, and that the whole earth is filled with the glory of Adonai, none of these people who saw my glory, I mean, they've all seen his glory come down and burn up the burnt offering with fire, the fire and the cloud, day and night, the manna, they've seen it all. None of the people who saw my glory and the signs I did in Egypt in the desert, yet tested me these 10 times and did not listen to my voice, will see the land that I swore to their ancestors. None of those who treated me with contempt will see it. But my servant Caleb, because he had a different spirit with him, that's the spirit we want, and has fully followed me, not one leg in and one leg out, not, yeah, acting like it, but not really internalizing it. He was fully in. Him I will bring into the land he entered, and it will belong to his descendants. Now, since the Amaleki and the Canaanites are living in the valley, tomorrow turn around and get yourselves into the desert along the way of the sea of Suf. And Adonai said to Moshe and Aaron, how long am I going to put up with this evil community who keeps grumbling about me? I have heard the complaints of the people of Israel, which they continue to raise against me. Tell them this, as surely as I live, Adonai swears, as surely as you've spoken in my ears, I will do this to you. Your carcass will fall in this desert, every single one of you who were included in the census over the age of 20, you who have complained against me, will certainly not enter the land about which I raised my hand to swear that I would have you live in it, except for Caleb, the son of Yefunni, and Yehoshua, son of Nun. But your little ones, who you said would be taken as booty, them I will bring in. They will know the land you have rejected. But your carcasses will fall in the desert. And your children will wander about in the desert for 40 years, bearing the consequences of your prostitutions until the desert eats up your carcasses. It will be a year for every year you spent reconnoitering the land that you will bear the consequences of your offenses. 40 days, 40 years. Then you will know what it means to oppose me. I, Adonai, have spoken, and I will certainly do this to the whole evil community who have assembled together against me. They will be destroyed in this desert and die there. The men whom Moshe had sent to reconnoiter the land, and whom, when they returned, made the entire community complain against him by giving an unfavorable report about the land. Those men who gave the unfavorable report about the land died by the plague in the presence of Adonai. Of the men who went to reconnoiter the land, only Yehoshua, son of Nun, and Caleb, the son of Yefunni, remained alive. So he killed those guys right off, and then the rest of them are just going to, over the next 40 years, they're going to die off and never be able to go into this land that they were too afraid to take anyway. Israel defeated in battle. When Moshe told these things to all the people of Israel, the people felt great remorse. Oh, I'm so sorry now. We should have. They rose early the next morning and came to the top of the mountain and said, we're here. Here we are. And we did sin. So they're confessing and they're repenting. Now we'll go up to the place Adonai promised. And Moshe answered, why are you opposing what Adonai said? You won't succeed. Don't go up there because Adonai isn't with you. And if you do, your enemies will defeat you. The Amalekim and the Canaanim are there ahead of you, and you will be struck down by the sword. The reason will be that you have turned away from following Adonai, so that Adonai won't be with you. But they were presumptuous and went on toward the high parts of the hill country. And even though the ark for the covenant of Adonai and Moshe stayed in camp, so they went ahead against warnings. The ark wasn't with them, Moshe wasn't with them, and the Most High wasn't with them. And they're operating in their flesh still. So the Amalekim and the Canaanim living in the hill country descended, struck them down, and beat them back all the way to Hormah. And Adonai said to Moshe, tell the people of Israel, when you have come into the land where you're going to live, which I am giving to you, and want to make an offering by fire to Adonai, a burnt offering or a sacrifice to fulfill a special vow, or to be a voluntary offering, or at your designated times to make a fragrant aroma for Adonai, then whether it comes from the herd or from the flock, the person bringing the offering is to present Adonai with a grain offering consisting of 2 quarts of fine flour mixed with 1 quart of olive oil. Now, I want to go back up here. This is when they go into the land. So basically, they're teaching the kids because the adults aren't going to be there. When you have come into the land where you're going to live, which I'm giving to you. So this is how to do the offerings. The person bringing the offering is to present Adonai with the grain offering consisting of 2 quarts of fine flour mixed with 1 quart of olive oil and 1 quart of wine for a drink offering. This is what you are to prepare with a burnt offering and for each lamb sacrificed. For a ram, prepare 1 gallon of fine flour mixed with 1 1/3 quart of olive oil. While for the drink offering, you are to present 1 1/3 quart of wine as a fragrant aroma for Adonai. And when you prepare a bull as a burnt offering, as a sacrifice to fulfill a special vow, or as a peace offering for Adonai, there is to be presented with the bull a grain offering and 1.5 gallons of fine flour mixed with 2 quarts of olive oil. For the drink offering, present 2 quarts of wine for an offering made by fire, a fragrant aroma for Adonai. Do it this way for each bull, ram, male, lamb, or kid. For as many animals as you prepare, do this for each one, regardless of how many animals there are. Every citizen is to do these things in this way when presenting an offering made by fire as a fragrant aroma for Adonai. If a foreigner stays with you, or whoever may be with you through all your generations, and wants to bring an offering made by fire as a fragrant aroma for Adonai, he's to do the same as you. So the sojourners or the Gentiles, the ones from other nations that have attached themselves, have been grafted into the Commonwealth of Israel, they do these things as well. For this community, there will be the same law for you as for the foreigner living with you. This is a permanent regulation through all of your generations. The foreigner is to be treated the same way before Adonai as yourselves. This is so huge. I mean, that it's like Ruth. They're to be brought in and to be loved and accepted and cared for and honored just like the native born. The same Torah, the same instructions, the standard of judgment will apply to both you and the foreigner living with you. Adonai said to Moshe, speak to the people of Israel and tell them, when you enter the land where I am bringing you. So remember, this is 40 years in the future then. And eat bread produced in the land, you are to set aside a portion as a gift for Adonai. You have to remember, at this point, they're in the desert. They're still eating manna every day. And so they're not eating produce from the land, no grain or anything. This is when they enter the land, they're to start doing these things. Set aside from your first dough a cake as a gift, and set it aside as you would set aside a portion of grain from the threshing floor, and from your first dough you will give Adonai a portion as a gift through all your generations. Law about unintentional sin. So there's sacrifices for unintentional sin, but there are no sacrifices for intentional sin, which is interesting. If by mistake you fail to observe all of the mitzvot, all of the instructions that Adonai has spoken to Moshe, yes, everything that Adonai has ordered you to do through Moshe from the day Adonai gave the order and onward through all of your generations, then if it was done by mistake by the community and was not known to them, the whole community is to offer one young bull for a burnt offering as a fragrant aroma to Adonai with its grain offering, its grain and drink offering, in keeping with the rule, and one male goat as a sin offering. The Cohen, the priest, is to make atonement for the whole community of the people of Israel, and they will be forgiven because it was a mistake, and they had brought their offerings, an offering made by fire to Adonai, and their sin offering before Adonai for their mistake. The whole community of people of Israel will be forgiven. Likewise, the foreigner staying with them, because for all the people, it was a mistake. If an individual now sins by mistake, he is to offer a female goat in its first year as a sin offering. The Cohen, the priest, will make atonement before Adonai for the person who makes a mistake by sinning inadvertently. He will make atonement for him and he will be forgiven, no matter whether he is a citizen of Israel or a foreigner living with them. You are to have one law for whoever it is that does something wrong by mistake. One law, one law. But an individual who does something wrong intentionally, whether a citizen or a foreigner, is blaspheming Adonai, and that person will be cut off from his people. They don't want any evil people, and they don't want evil people to teach other people to be evil. So cut them off, cut out the cancer. Because he has had contempt for the word of Adonai and has disobeyed his command, that person will be cut off completely. His offense will remain with him. A Sabbath breaker executed. This is harsh, and I still have a hard time wrapping my brain around this. So while the people of Israel were in the desert, they found a man gathering wood on the Shabbat. Those who found him gathering wood brought him to Moshe, Aaron, and the whole congregation, and they kept him in custody because it had not yet been decided what to do with him. So they had to, this is like, okay, what do we do now? This guy, we just caught him doing this. They had to take it before the father. So then Adonai said to Moshe, this man must be put to death, and the entire community is to stone him to death outside the camp. So let's picture this. I mean, he was picking up sticks. He was out gathering wood to kindle a fire. Boy, there's so many deeper meanings to all of that, because once you start paying attention to not kindling a fire on the Sabbath, not meaning so much of cooking, but not kindling a fire, not working up anger and wrath and arguments, to tamper that down, snuff it out, do not allow it, especially on the Sabbath. Don't kindle a fire on the Sabbath. So now I just can't think of that without thinking about, do not get involved in silly arguments on the Sabbath. And the enemy loves to cause division and arguments on the Sabbath. But that's where you need to not kindle a fire on the Sabbath. So the whole community brought him outside the camp and threw stones at him until he died, as Adonai had ordered Moshe. One, I just find stoning to be incredibly horrible. I mean, one, the person who's being stoned to be hit by rock after rock after rock until, I mean, every rock hurts until you just have no breath left in you. What a terrible way to die. And what a terrible way to put someone to death. And that the whole community had to be involved in this. I mean, it really goes towards collective honor, collective shame. They realize, oh my gosh, so let's not do this, because we're all going to have to be involved in this again if one of us do this, dishonor the Sabbath. If anybody dishonors the Sabbath, we're all going to have to do this again. and it's horrific. So let's not. And tassels on the garment. So Adonai said to Moshe, speak to the people of Israel, instructing them to make through all of their generation tzitzit on the corners of their garments, and put with the tzitzit on each corner a blue thread. It is to be a tzitzit for you to look at, and whereby remember all of Adonai's mitzvot, all of his instructions, and obey them, so that you won't go around wherever your own heart and eyes lead you to prostitute yourself. But it will help you to remember and obey all of my mitzvot and be holy for your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt in order to be your God. I am Adonai your God. I know when I first came into this walk, I wore tzitzits, and they were a powerful, powerful learning tool. Um, I I don't have a concrete opinion currently about tzitzits. Um, I met with some friends, some of my new friends that are local, that she had, at her husband's request or sharing, joined our women's Bible study and found out we were local. So we had coffee together this last week, and he was wearing tzitzits, and it was just, he's the first person I've seen in my local environment to wear tzitzits, and that was just like so cool. But the one thing it really taught me, um, I have not always been the kindest, most patient person, and I also, because I've worked in the um, what's it called, with the service industries. I've worked in service industries most of my life, and I know what it was required. And sadly, those standards have gone away. And so I would be very verbal and vocal about my displeasure in people's lack of service, and just be very judgmental. And when I wore tzitzits, every time I left my house and I saw them, it reminded me who I belong to and how he required me to behave. And it was so powerful. I don't currently wear them, although I would again if he required it. He also required me to cover my head for a period of time in wearing head coverings, um, because I needed to learn proper structure with my covering. And I'm a woman who was raised by very strong-willed, independent women, and I am a strong-willed, independent woman who was never taught how to honor and yeah, how to honor and serve a man. I mean, just those words would send me like, are you kidding? I'm not going to serve a man. I remember one time, oh, I forget what the subject was, but Rusty and I, it was early, early in our marriage. And he said there was something, and I just whatever, and I did whatever I wanted. And then he said something about that I disobeyed him, and I lost my mind. I was just like, disobey you? I am not your dog, and I am not your child, and I never ever said that I would obey any man. And I had actually made vows that I would never be under a man. And I had to repent of that vow, because it gave me an attitude that was not of the Lord. And so, but anyway, um, wearing the head covering, he uses physical things to teach us his ways. And for me, those are the things he used. The tzitzits taught me how to walk and operate in love, compassion, generosity, and kindness with those who I meet out in the world when I'm out and about. And the head covering taught me that I am under my husband and I am to serve him, and he is the king of this home. and I need to treat him as such. And they both really changed me into being who he created me to be, which are beautiful. Okay, so now we go to Joshua, and I love the book of Joshua. A couple of years ago, Rusty and I were like, well, I was mainly. We had read the Torah portions a couple of years, and I'm like, okay, already. I want to go into the promised land. So start reading in Joshua and read on. And we're now, I don't even know, I think we're in, where are we? Hmm, I think we must be in Kings. Now, we haven't made it very far because we only read a chapter a night, but something really beautiful, and I'll put the link in the description, is some of the guys I follow from Israel. They do a prophets daily, and they are starting in Joshua 1:1 and doing one chapter a day. So some of the videos are like 15 minutes long, but they describe it in a way that helps us to understand the deeper meanings and the prophecies and everything through the prophets. And it'll be interesting. I mean, if they go all the way through the prophets and the books, oh, it's prophets daily, so it might stop, right after the prophets, but wouldn't it be awesome if it actually went all the way through the books of wisdom and everything? But so I think they're in First Samuel right now. And they just put a video out every day, and so you can follow along in your Bible and then also learn more of an ancient Hebrew mindset of what was going on, and deeper meanings to those books. So okay, we're going Joshua 2:1. Yehoshua, the son of Nun, secretly sent two spies from Shittim with these instructions: go inspect the land and Jericho. They left and came to the house of a prostitute named Rahav, where they spent the night. So interesting. Here's Joshua, who was one of the original 12 spies. And now it's time for them to actually, 40 years later, enter the promised land. And he sent two secretly, not this big production in front of the whole camp, but two secretly to go and spy it out. And the king of Jericho was told about it. Tonight, some of the men of Israel came to reconnoiter the land. The king of Jericho sent a message to Rahav: bring out the men who came to you and are staying in your house, because they have come to reconnoiter the land, all the land. However, the woman, after taking the two men and hiding them, replied, yes, the men did come to me, but I didn't know where they had come from. And the men left around the time when they shut the gate, because at night they would shut the gates to keep, marauders out. When it was dark, where they went, I don't know, but if you chase them after them quickly, you will overtake them. And actually, she had brought them up to the roof and hidden them under some stalks of flax that she had spread out there. And the men pursued them all the way to the fords of the Yarden. And as soon as the pursuit party had left, the gate was shut. The two men had not yet lain down with I'm sorry, the two men had not yet laid down when she returned to the roof and said to them, I know that Adonai has given you the land. Fear of you has fallen on all of us. So here, Jericho was like the entrance into the promised land. And it was fortified and it was built up and it was a major trade hub. And it was a place that struck fear into other nations, because to get anywhere they had to go through this, and this place was very well fortified. It was double walled, and they had homes actually in the wall. And it's interesting, I watched a video that in the walls of Jericho that still remain, the ones that, it shows that the walls fell outward instead of in, and that there's still one section where there's a house with a window. And they're saying, that's probably Rahab's house, because well, we'll see here, he rescued them. Um, when they heard how Adonai had dried up the water in the Sea of Suf ahead of you, and when you left Egypt, and when you did to the two kings of Amori, on the other side of the Yarden, Sihon and Og, that you completely destroyed them. As soon as we heard it, our hearts failed us because of you. Everyone is in a state of depression for Adonai, your God. He is a God in heaven above and on the earth below. So please swear to me by Adonai that since I have been kind to you, that you will be kind to my father's family and give me some evidence of your good faith, that you will spare the lives of my father, mother, brothers, and sisters, and all of their heirs, so that we won't be killed. And the men replied to her, our lives are certainly worth yours, provided you don't betray our mission. So when Adonai gives us the land, we will treat you kindly and in good faith. Then she lowered them by a rope through the window, since her house abutted the city wall, indeed, was actually built into it. She told them, head for the hills so that the pursuit party won't get their hands on you, and hide yourself there for 3 days until the pursuers have returned. And after that, you can go on your way. And the men said to her, they will not be guilty of violating the oath you made us swear, provided that when we enter the land, you tie a piece of scarlet cord in the window that you let us down from, and you gather together in your house your father, mother, brother, and your father's entire household. And if anyone goes out of the doors of your house into the street, he will be responsible for his own blood, and we will be guiltless. But everyone who stays in with you in the house, we will be responsible for his blood. And if anyone lays a hand on him, however, if you say a word about this business of ours, then we will be free of our oath that you made us swear. According to your words, so be it, she said, and sent them away. As they departed, she tied the scarlet cord in the window, and they left and arrived in the hills and stayed there 3 days until the pursuers had returned. The pursuers had searched for them all the way, but had not found them. Then the two men returned, descending from the hills. They crossed over and came to Yehoshua, son of Nun, and reported everything that had happened to them. Truly, Adonai has handed over all the land to us. They told Yehoshua, everyone in the land is terrified that we're coming. So chances are it could have been when they originally went, those people in that land that they were supposed to, the 12 spies, they could have been thinking the exact same thing. They had seen all the things that had happened, the Red Sea parting, the Sea of Reeds parting, the conquering of the other kings and everything. They saw all this. 40 years earlier, because what they talked about here, that, what she talked to them about was all stuff that happened, when they first left Egypt. So, you know, the the inhabitants of the land could have very well been thinking the exact same thing, and they could have taken them at that time. But now, 40 years later, this is the redemption. Next is Matthew 10:1 through 14. So the 12 apostles. Yeshua called his 12 Talmidim, apostles, disciples, and gave them authority to drive out unclean spirits and to heal every kind of disease and weakness. And these are the names of the 12 emissaries. First, Shimeon, Simon, called Kepha, which is Peter, Andrew, his brother, Yaakov, Ben Zavadi, and Yohanan, his brother. So there was no James. Just a little fun fact here. There was no apostle named James. Um, King James, when he commissioned the writing of the King James Version of the Bible, he wanted his name to be in there. So Yaakov here was actually changed to James. But so where it says James and John, it was Jacob and John. So Philip and Bar Telmai, Thomas, and Matthew, the tax collector, Yaakov bar Halaphai, and Thaddeus, that's probably Thaddeus, Simon the Zealot, and Yehuda from Kariat, who betrayed him. So Judas from Kariat, Judas of Iscariot, who betrayed him. Jesus sends out the 12 apostles. These 12 Yeshua sent out with the following instructions. Do not go into the territory of the Goyim. Don't go into the territory of the Gentiles, and don't enter any town in Shomron, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And as you go, so basically only go out and deal with Jews and the lost tribes, the lost 10 tribes. And as you go out, as you go, proclaim the kingdom of heaven is near. Heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse those afflicted with Zarat, expel demons. You have received without paying, so give without asking payment. Ooh, beautiful there. Don't take money for your belts, no gold, no silver, no copper. And for the trip, don't take a pack, an extra shirt, shoes, or a walking sticks. A worker should be given what he needs. When you come to a town or village, look for someone trustworthy and stay with him until you leave. And when you enter someone's house, say, Shalom Aleichem. And if the home deserves it, let your shalom rest on it. And if not, let your shalom return to you. But if the people of a house or a town will not welcome you or listen to you, leave it and shake the dust from your feet. Yes, I tell you, it will be more tolerable on a day of judgment for the people of Sodom and Gomorrah than for that town. So, all right, that is it for this week. Thank you so much for joining me. And I ended up not being able to record my Living in the Way recording last week, and I really need to update everyone on the retreat. So I'm going to try to do that right now. We'll see if I get it done. Um, but thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you next week, Yah willing. We've got some new things happening. We are now normally our women's discipleship group Bible study weekly, where we go over just what we went over here, is on Thursday afternoons, starting at noon Pacific time, 1 to 3 o'clock Eastern time. And a lot of people are not able to make that time. So we've moved it now to, or not moved it, we've added an additional study Thursday evenings, 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern time. If that's something that you'd be interested in, I couldn't recommend it enough. I mean, I have never, I have never really gotten involved with women's groups very intimately because pretty much everyone that I ever have has been an icky experience because women can tend to not be so nice. Um, and I'm not, just not a big joiner. So to find this group of women from all around the world, and like I just went to this retreat with them, and I've never experienced being with a group of women who every one of them's sole purpose is to serve one another, serve the body, love one another, walk out life with one another, and hold one another up and pray for one another and just exhort and inspire and encourage. And it blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind how blessed I am to have found this group of women. And if this is something that you've been craving and feeling the real need to have other women to walk alongside of you, let me tell you, some people that I am so very close to and adore are going through some horrific things, just like I did a couple of months ago with my dad moving in and being so sick and then passing away. And it was awful. And it made it wonderful and beautiful to go through it with these women. So if that's something that the Father is leading you into, or that you're craving to have, just having other like-minded women to walk this journey with you, let me know and I can get you the information. We also have other calls. We have a new moon call once a month to go over what the whole, new moon's all about. The new moon, because the Bible, it's actually a commandment to have a feast and celebrate on the new moon. And so we explain that every month, and each month has its own theme. If you can Yeah. And then we have another Wednesday calls that are something with the Hebrew mindset. It's called the Wicked Lamp, and it's in more in-depth teaching. So if you want more in-depth teaching, that one's a good one for you. We also have a Monday morning prayer call. We have a fellowship call. I forget the days the fellowship calls are on. So we have lots of different ways to connect and interact with one another. And like I said, I just can't even imagine my life without these women. And, up until 2 weeks ago, it was online only. And then I got to meet eight of them, nine of them actually in person. So even, and I'm actually going to Israel with three of them. The three that didn't even go to I haven't met them in person yet. The three that I'm going to Israel with, um, in August, I'll be going to Israel with three of the women from this group. And so, like I said, it is the most beautiful group of women. And I'm just so blessed that the Father brought this into my life. So, all right. Father Yah, bless everyone who's listened to this. Send this out to whoever it is you want to hear it, Father. Your will be done. In Yeshua's name. Amen. Be blessed, and Yah willing, I'll see you next week.